Hey guys, it's Mike Monte, one half of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. And we want to reach out to all the fans out there who have supported our show to say thank you. Thank you for making 2021 one of our best years. And one of our best years was because of Anchor. Anchor, the way that you can have your voice heard. You can be just like us. Record your own podcast. Use the Anchor tools to edit your podcast. Use it on a phone. Use it on your computer. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And best of all with Anchor, they're totally free. So be just like Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh. We're looking together for a great 2022. We've got huge guests coming on board. Oh, yeah. You probably wonder why Jimmy's not here right now. Well, he's prepping for one of the best interviews we're about to have, and we're going to surprise someone with. So hang aboard with us, and don't forget, be like us and use Anchor.
What? Yeah. No, I'm behaving myself. No, I'm not playing in abandoned buildings. What? Again? Now. I suppose you had those people follow me again. Fine. Hey, this is Jimmy Pharaoh from Monte and the Pharaoh, and I want to thank all our subscribers. We have now passed 14,000 on our YouTube channel. But I want to ask our subscribers to take the next step for us and become a full-fledged member of Monte and the Pharaoh. Yeah, that's right, folks. There's 3 different levels to choose from. There's free shirts. There's free autographs. Just check it out and become a member of Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh. Later.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV, out of Ronkonkoma, Long Island. It's Thursday, and we're so glad to have everybody joining us today. We've got a very, very special show tonight with guest Angel Amoroso.
Nice.
Nice. We'll introduce her in a bit. I'm asking people to listen to Angel. She's got a very interesting story, and please be prepared with questions. Before we get that, though, Jared, the new producer.
There he is.
Is this show 3, Jared?
3 or 4, yeah, around
there.
Yeah,
I think we're past.
I was telling Pharaoh that you like the other shows better than ours.
Would you stop it? He does not.
Jared, I've seen the Pharaoh, obviously the best.
There we go. Lies. Lies. Spidey lives. Spidey's our man.
Man, you love Spidey.
I love Spidey. I do love Spidey. He's so cool and inoffensive.
If the people could see him one day, we'll show him on camera. He's a handsome.
Oh my God!
Handsome,
we are much
handsome,
compared to Spidey.
Strapping young man. If I was a woman.
Oh, would you please? Now we're taking it a little bit.
If I was a woman, I'd ask him on a date.
Spidey's he's a good-looking guy.
He's better looking than me.
He's better looking than me.
Really? That's the first time I ever heard you even.
There's not too many.
You must be drinking.
Why do you think I'm lying? You're
right. I've never ever.
Spidey, no offense, I'm lying.
I've never ever heard the Pharaoh put anybody over.
Spidey's. Hey, he's the man. We like Spidey.
I'll take it.
Hey,
all right, so Pharaoh news this week.
Oh, God.
Sloth bear kills couple and feasts on their remains for hours. A sloth bear killed a man and a woman in India before feasting on their remains for hours.
Why am I laughing?
The attack took place at a nature reserve
there you go.
on Sunday as a couple walked back from temple, authorities said. This happened in India. Mushesh Rai and his wife Gudia, age 43 and 30. What are you laughing about? Somebody got eaten.
I'm laughing at your pronunciation, Gudia. It's probably Gudja or something like that. Gudia.
It's
Godzilla versus Gudia.
That's how you pronounce it.
It probably is pronounced that way.
Age 43 and 39, respectively, were walking through a forest in India in the district of Indian state Madhya. Well, I guess that's the name of it. When they encountered a sloth bear. The sloth bear attacked them and started to feast and have a wonderful little dinner on these two people. And you laugh about it.
First thing in defense of the sloth bear.
Good.
Was there any video of this? Did anybody videotape this attack? Did they provoke the sloth bear? This is a nature reserve. You are walking through the sloth bear's backyard and you're wondering why the sloth bear's like, what the fuck you doing here?
First, real quick, is that really a sloth bear right there?
That's a baby sloth bear, and I picked that picture on purpose.
It looks very friendly.
That's what I'm getting at.
Could you imagine him feasting on your body?
No, not at all. They must have pissed him off beyond belief. Beyond belief. He was like, what you talking about, Willis?
I didn't think bears ate people like that.
I don't think so either, but apparently this was a hungry sloth bear.
Give some shout-outs to some people in the room as we're getting going. We got Mitch in the house.
What's
Maria
up,
Davis.
Maria!
We love you, Maria.
Ooh, I give her the
Matthew Holland, which is really not his name, but we're
going
to say that. No, he's always under someone else's name.
Oh, he's always okay.
Don the Barber in the house. We got JB02. What up, my friend?
What up?
Jason, always good to see you. RJ, great to see you.
No, wait, hold on. Jason? Like Jason Voorhees?
No.
Damn it.
Come on, dude.
I'm sure Jason watches
Jason
this
Mohing.
Show. Okay, that works too.
I said RJ, now you confused me.
I did?
There you go.
Wow.
Well, anyway, back to the sloth bear.
Yeah, what about the sloth bear?
I'm very
upset. Innocent, cute sloth
bear. B40 in the house. Good to see him, too.
We
got a great show for you guys tonight. Very interesting show. But first, I want to introduce the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Pharaoh. Jimmy?
I would like to introduce the other star of the show, Mr. Monte. How you doing, Mr. Monte?
How you doing, buddy?
What's happening?
It's always great to be here on Thursday. We get to see our friends.
Absolutely.
We get to have such great interviews with such wonderful people like Angel.
Absolutely.
And, it's our honor
to
be tuned into every Thursday, and we truly mean that. So
life is good.
Thank you again.
Life is good.
And I want to thank the band that sings the theme. One thing, you think people just get tired of the same old shtick? We've been doing it for about a year and a half.
Consistency brings championships.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good enough.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the band that sings theme song for Monte and Pharaoh. Our own Jimmy Pharaoh, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall. That was really bad. That was a fail.
That was epic. See, it's gone. The top level is gone. Oh, where's the beer? It's your fault.
Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Far Behind, Here Comes the Rain. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Please hit that like and subscribe. Also, you can download their music on Spotify, Apple Music, and Reverb Nation.
Yeah.
If you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte and Pharaoh. Catch us on the Monte and Pharaoh YouTube page and Monte and Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Hear us on the Monte and Pharaoh iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, and the Monte and Pharaoh Twitch TV page. And if you're lucky enough to live in New York, catch us on Channel 115 every Tuesday at 9:30 and Saturday at 11:30. We're going head-to-head with Saturday Night Live. In fact, we did such a great job against Saturday Night Live, half their staff quit.
Half their staff quit over Monte and the Pharaoh?
Well, they were failing. They were losing.
They're fucking
and
soft.
that's factual. Check the news.
They're soft.
They've lost.
They're done.
Soft. Channel 20, Tuesday at 1 a.m. And we always want to thank Amazon Music, who's at us. So, again, if you're tired of two old, fat, balding
Leave
old
me out of
guys,
this. Possibly balding.
you don't have to listen to us. But if you really like us, you can listen to us everywhere. Anyway, we're going to be back with our guest, former ECW valet and pro wrestler Angel Amoroso. Fans, please get your questions ready. Absolutely. I ask first that you hear Angel's story first, listen to the questions, listen to the story, and then judge, and then ask your questions.
Most importantly, remember, folks, heroes are people too. We will see you in a second.
Tired of that same old breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Same old tasting scrambled eggs, burger, that dinner steak, ribs, or pork chops? Why not add a little bit of spice or just a touch of heat to make the difference? Change that scrambled egg with a little bit of Johnny Fabulous's John Cena Sr.'s $1 Million Jalapeno Hot Sauce. Great on burgers, steaks, chops, and those barbecued ribs.
Dino Luzzi Energy Drink. Yeah, it's that good.
And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack. Hit it, brother. You be on the air. Like
I'm on?
Yeah. You be on.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the screen and I'm wondering what's going on because I
screen.
look like I'm frozen again. Welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. Monte and the Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music TV. Boy, I'm missing my cues tonight, huh?
It's all right. Just improvise like I do.
Anyway, I want to welcome Angel Amoroso to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast. How are you?
Hello, Jimmy. Hello, Michael. How are you this evening?
I'm lovely. How are you?
Well, let me just start by saying that I just want to thank you for making me a part of your network on Wrestling Rewind. Really enjoying being a host of the show. And I also really enjoy having Jimmy and Wisteria Hall as my entrance music, as you would say, and my exit music. So I love it.
Thank you.
Well, I got to tell you, since you and Tommy have joined the network, along with others, the show has grown. And in fact, you're very popular throughout the European countries. I could see how your shows are doing. I actually have to share with that your future on the charts. I meant to actually share that with you. So thank you again. It's our honor to have you on our network also.
Thank you.
All right, so Angel, for people who may not know who you are, where you've been in the business, we kind of want to walk through your life from growing up to eventually joining ECW and then onward. So tell us, where does Angel Amoroso grow up, and talk about your family.
Okay, well, I grew up in South Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. It's pretty much a predominantly Italian neighborhood and area. My my parents were, my mother is African American, my father's Italian. I grew up with a brother and a sister. My sister's 7 years older than me. My brother 2 years older than me. We it was really kind of rough growing up. I was the black sheep, of course, more favored by my father, who took me by his side to do all the things that he was doing as I was growing up. I wasn't schooled a whole lot because I was with him a lot doing his business and the things that he wanted me to do, including apartment wrestling videos, a lot of modeling, underage stuff that he used to drop me off to, and I would fight grown women and grown men, some strippers and porn actresses and whatnot, and he would drop me off at a hotel, and while people were videotaping me wrestling and boxing these people, and then they marketed these videos when I was very young, and now these videos are still out there being marketed. Some of them are being given away for free on adult entertainment sites, and they just keep changing the date on them and selling them for minutes at a time. I get no profit off of this, and I know it's totally against the law, and there just seems to be nothing that still I could do about it. But growing up, that was my job that my father gave to me in sort of like my beginnings in an interest in sports, and it was like wrestling and boxing and martial arts. I'm a trained martial artist. I've been doing karate since I was 6 years old, and that's the field he directed me in because he knew that I could make money. There were local people who were using local women who him and a lot of other people provided them, and I worked with the adults to make him his money.
So, Angel, again, respectfully, we have tons of respect for you, but there's probably a lot of questions we're going to ask that we'll go back and forth on. But is there any anger on your side that your father put you in that type of position? To me, listening to that beginning of your story seems abnormal and, well...
You were being
I didn't think it was abnormal.
Why?
I didn't think it was abnormal. I never, I didn't question any decisions that he made as long as he was happy about, I wasn't a very social child. I didn't have friends, and he was really the only person in my life. So I really didn't question whether or not it was normal or,
well,
I would beat up adults for him.
Did you question it later?
And whatnot.
Did you question it later? Did you start to think maybe this was kind of a strange upbringing, perhaps?
No, it took a while.
Okay.
It took a while.
Okay.
There was a lot of other situations where, as I was doing a lot of the wrestling and boxing parts, the other girls who were doing it with me that were the adult actresses and whatnot were staying afterwards with the group of guys who would sit around and watch the films being made, because they would pay per person to watch us wrestle on mats on the floor. And then they would take the adult film stars and the strippers and have their private time with them per head. You know what I'm saying? Did
this somehow lead you into pro wrestling? I mean, apartment wrestling is clearly very different than working for a company like ECW. I mean...
Right. Well, oddly, I joined, my father got me interested in wrestling. One of my jobs was somehow to duplicate pornography for sales, local sales, and he got me interested in watching wrestling on the side because it was something to distract me while I was home from school, not going to school. So I started watching wrestling. And, he started taking the whole family to shows. We all went, my sister, my brother, my mother even. My mother was a big heckler. And, then he knew promoters. He knew Dennis Carluzzo very well.
Okay.
So, they were like best friends. He knew Gino Moore, who was another promoter who was around the NWA. So we joined a fan club early on. And, I was a heckler in the audience. I always got front row. And I was a big giant heckler, so I would, really taunt the boys when they came out to the point where it would be disturbing because I had a really big mouth, and it was like I was stealing the show, I guess. So, I got a lot of attention like that as a fan, I guess. We joined a fan club that went like it was Wrestling Radio Fan Club, run by Joel Goodhart, which was the original. Like TWA, the original ECW, if you want to call it that.
Okay.
He had a radio show at the time and a fan club that would travel all across the country. We went as far as we went to Virginia for Starcades and for the NWA, and as far as Memphis for USWA wrestling, in barns and stuff like that. We did a whole Tennessee tour, and this was in 1988. I was 13 years old. 13 years old.
Okay.
So, I'm sorry. In Richmond, actually, the Richmond Starcade, my friend Jack always reminds me, it was November of 1987. So technically I was 12 years old, I guess.
Okay.
So I was traveling around, and meeting people after shows and everything because we were a group. So, we met a lot of wrestlers at luncheons and dinners and stuff like that the wrestling radio would hold for these particular guys, whoever they were. With the fan club, it came me and my sister would go to the host who was Carmela Panfill. She was a woman, the female host, and we would go to her house on the weekend and all the independent wrestlers and anyone from the local schools like Monster Factory and Dominic DeNucci School and wherever would go to her house. So, and anyone who was on a show at the time. Now we're talking in the 80s,
right?
Right. 88 now. I'm 13 years old, and the first encounter that was negative that I had was around her group. Dominic DeNucci had wanted to train me and my sister to work for him. He was training Shane Douglas at the time.
Okay.
And Mick Foley was up there with him. So he wanted to train me and my sister, and I had an incident with him in her basement that she witnessed and kind of turned a blind eye to. He grabbed me and mauled my face and was kissing me and told me if I could use language. I'm not sure what kind of language
Absolutely.
I can. So he took me by the back of my head and forced it between his legs and said, "Look at my dick," And I was kind of horrified by it, but Carmela came in and she said, "What's going on?" And he brushed it off like it was nothing, but it kind of it discouraged me to want to be trained by him.
I would think so.
Can I stop you there 1 second?
So. Right.
So
Sure.
we get a picture of this. You're 12 years old at this point?
You're 12 going on 13.
And your sister is 19?
Yes.
Okay. So let's go back a little bit. Your father's got you doing this apartment wrestling stuff. Where's your mom during this whole situation?
My mother, she continued. My father had an incident at one of the shows where they stretchered him out. He had a heart episode, and he asked Dennis Carluzzo to keep an eye on me. And from then on, Dennis kind of kept an eye on me, for a long time. My mother continued going to shows with me and my sister and my brother as far as Memphis, and then allowed a very well-known groupie to talk her into letting us go on the Great American Bash tour with her because she had some extra seats. And she wanted me to sit with her because, I was sitting across the other side of the ring, and she always had like a Bruce Springsteen secretary sat with her, and different interchangeable groupies at the time that were around for a long time. And then I came along, and she asked my mother if me and my sister could go on a tour with her, and my mother allowed it, knowing that I was not going to, go to school that year or anything. Like, it was a Great American Bash tour. Thankfully, it was during the summertime, so I wasn't missing any school then. But during the school year that came next, it just like.
So going back to the DiNucci thing, at 12 years old, going on 13, obviously you knew something was wrong that an older man like that would say that to you, correct?
I was disgusted. I was really confused because the background is on the Memphis trip when this was like, back and forth. I had a boyfriend, Tom Robinson. He does a podcast as well, and he was kind of in independent wrestling. I started dating him before any of this happened.
At 12 years old?
Yeah. He was like 19.
Okay. And 19 dating a 12-year-old.
Yes, my mother met him in Memphis and everything, and knew him, and everyone knew that we were dating. Mm-hmm. So, and my mother made it really clear to everyone how old I was, like on the bus in Memphis, because there was a politician who was John Brozocelli from New Jersey who was bad-mouthing me on the bus, telling everyone, making up stuff about things I had done when I had just gotten there. My mother pretty much okayed for me and my sister to go on the tour with these women who were, very well known to be doing what they were doing. They got promoters passes. They traveled, from Philly, all the way from Philly and everywhere up north as far as Chicago. And,
so without being disrespectful, could we just call them ring rats for this conversation?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. I say groupie as in, respectful terms to them, because I actually still do communicate with them. Okay. All very well-known, well-traveled ring rats with everyone and anyone you can name up until maybe not even 10 years ago. They were still circling around, some of them. So.
Now, do you turn to your sister at 12 years old or 13 years old, who's the 19-year-old that's watching over you when Dominic DiNucci did this, and do you say anything to her, like, how do you let this happen? Or
she was always very bitter towards me, and very jealous. It had a jealous streak, and would if people were giving me that negative attention, that would then lead to something that was inappropriate, she would get mad at me and take their side and try to flip it around like I was doing something wrong to antagonize. Because I was a kid, I was being fed drugs and alcohol, and I was drunk, and I was being brought across state lines, many state lines, during all days of the week and all hours of the night. I was up with these people in and out of their rooms, and they were in and out of my room because I shared a room with these groupies. And, there was no solid supervision and, really nothing but encouragement from the rest of the group that I hung around to behave the way I was. So I really didn't, personally, when the things happened to me with people, I felt like it was wrong. But then when I would go to them and tell them, so-and-so just, I was laying there passed out. I couldn't move, and he, jerked off on my face and left the room.
Who's this?
I seen it.
Who's this?
Bobby Fulton did this. Bobby Fulton did this to me in Crystal City, Marriott. He had I had watched Ric Flair dance on top of a table after the bar closed, and I was totally smashed. And I went to the room that we had rented, and I was puking my guts up, and I was laying on a bathroom floor, and I know that he had come in with one of the other girls, and obviously something didn't work out. And the next thing I knew, he was, tilting my face and jacking on my face, and I couldn't move. There was nothing I could do, but I seen that it was him. So regardless of how he wants to try to defend himself now, when I go at him on social media, only God knows how many people he probably did that to, and whether or not you remember it, I remember it fucking so crystal clear. It's so, like yesterday.
Angel, big Bus Fetty out there. And this is the same question I'm sure everybody's got. Where are your parents at this point?
Oh no, this is once I went on the road, I was just with my sister and 5 to 7 interchangeable groupies that were worked for the stock exchange and the Pentagon and had different, very important jobs. Not stupid women, very educated women. I was left in the care of these women to travel.
So, you're training with DiNucci. You explain what happened.
No, I did not train with DiNucci.
Not after
I understand.
Not after that. Yeah.
But I'm sure that we've had Shane Douglas in here, and Shane trained with DiNucci.
Right.
Mm-hmm. This was
when you start to meet these older wrestlers, right? You're 12, you're 13. Everybody's older than you.
Yeah.
Is there any type of father figure that you kind of encounter that you feel like you could speak to?
Yes, Dennis Carluzzo was there for me the minute my dad left, and he was there for me until the day he died. Dennis was the only person who, Dennis then took me along, when people were done training at the Monster Factory. Dennis took me and my sister over to Larry Sharp, and, we would learn the basics there because, Dennis was more like family to me, and Dennis looked after me, and I didn't have to, with Larry initially, there's always some kind of a problem, but Larry was always good to me and respected me as I grew and taught me things to not only be like, a fucking bobblehead in the business, like, to fulfill every position I could. And he taught me that in a way, and we didn't have to be around people to learn it. So I seen Dennis as, my figure that I could depend on always. He was my best friend. He knew everything that happened to me during my childhood. A lot of times him and Gino Moore, they were my ride, to a lot of events. So a lot of stories about Dennis and Gino I could just go on forever, but they were there for everything.
So then I ask you this. Did you turn to Dennis and tell him that this thing was happening to you?
Well, as much as I love Dennis, because Tom Robinson, my previous boyfriend, was also one of the, the kid marks he would yank around a lot. So Dennis, actually knowing what I had previously been through, like I start going to hotels really early and, at the bars afterwards with the wrestlers and everything, and getting grabbed by people like Tully Blanchard and, making out, and jerking off all over me. Like, he knew about, like, the stuff that had happened, but he then, knowing what had happened, it did direct me towards people like Dave Meltzer at a very young age, because he fed Dave Meltzer, along with a lot of other of my friends, fed Dave Meltzer on what was going on personally around after shows. And Dave Meltzer was really just, letting loose in his newsletter back then, telling people lots of stuff that was not wrestling stuff. It was like personal and backstage stuff. And it was usually like me or my friend Jack Andrews or Dennis Carluzzo feeding Dave Meltzer. So Dennis introduced me to Dave Meltzer then at a very young age of 12. And then after feeding Dave Meltzer for a while, me and Dave became involved in a sexual relationship, regardless of what his weird ass wants to say. He knows what he did. So, yeah. So Dennis did get me involved with Dave Meltzer, which I do regret. And then again with Stan Lane. He had brought me backstage when my father had the episode and, sat me down in the locker room, and him and Cornette were consoling me. And then that same night when I went, Stan Lane was like, oh, let's go get something to eat and we'll take your mind off things and blah, blah, blah. And that same night we did not go get anything to eat. We went to a Red Roof Inn and had sex.
Just to be clear.
This was on a border of like 12 and 13 years old. Like,
that's what I wanted to make clear. Okay, so Dave Meltzer, the captain of shit talking.
Yes.
I just wanted to make something clear. Okay, I'm good.
So,
oh boy.
Again, this isn't victim shaming. I'm just asking a question. At 13 years old, do you not know that this is wrong? Or is it that you love all these guys this much because you love the sport? Like, at what point do you not say, like, this isn't right?
I was kind of, I was confused. Like I said, I started drinking and doing drugs really, I like hard drugs, not like, oh, I smoked a little pot or whatever. Like, I was taking pills and snorting coke and doing a lot of stuff that, normal kids don't do on the road. They don't wake up and go to bed with beers on the side of their bed and, never ever sleep and are insane. Like, I was never the type, I was never a child. I was never treated like a child. I was never put in the position of a child. I never acted like a child. I never behaved like a child. I didn't know what childhood was. I didn't consider age groups. I went along with whoever I was put along with as per. I was not welcomed too much by my family at home. So wrestling, that was my family, and the people in it, the groupies were my family, the promoters were my family, the wrestlers who I was having sex with on every show, they were my family. That was my family. So did I find it unusual? I found it unusual when I was being smacked around and choked by people while I was having sex with them, or I was being, literally raped by people and spit on and abused. Yeah, I did. And later on, I did find that to be unusual, and that's how I ended up, leaving that area of wrestling. But before I did leave that area of wrestling, there was a miscommunication with me and 20 plus grown ass wrestlers who should have known better to not fool around with someone that they knew was a child.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to talk about your entrance into ECW, okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll see you in a minute.
Okay.
The Monte and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite four-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
Do you treat your dog as part of the family? Well, so do we. So why not celebrate your pup's birthday with the ultimate party box? Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Party Pup Info, and let us make your pup's party or any celebration perfection.
You want to star in your own success? Call QuickCast. www.quickcast.com. 866-7-CAST-NOW. That's 866-7-CAST-NOW. QuickCast.
Start your own success. That's right, folks. Canine Corral for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544.
Jimmy, I gotta take a dump. What? No, I mean I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP.
Hey folks, this is Wolfie D here, and if you are looking to buy or sell a home in Tennessee or Southern Kentucky, you're going to want to call my buddy, the rock star realtor, Benji Bowie. And you say, Wolfie, how do I get in touch with this rock star? Well, you can call him directly at 615-390-8216. You can go to his website, BowieHomes.com. That's B-U-I-E Homes.com. Or you can email him at benbuie34@gmail.com. BENBUIE34@gmail.com. When you need a home, you need the Rockstar Realtor.
Tell him Wolfie sent you. Benji is a member of Exit Realty's Garden Gate team in Gallatin, Tennessee.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's number one pro wrestler broadcast, Monte and the Pharaoh, seen every Thursday at 9 p.m., where we have a special guest, our honor, Angel Amoroso. Thank you, Angel. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right, so a lot of the fans, they haven't heard your story. You're kind of blowing their mind.
To be expected, by the way.
Which is to be expected.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So let's bounce a little bit. When do you decide, hey, I want to be involved as a wrestler, and how does that start?
Okay, well, after my young childhood experience, later on, one of the last people that I was with was Eddie Gilbert, who encouraged me a lot in becoming a wrestler. I was 15 years old at the time, and I worked a show with him and probably the whole cast of the NWA Jim Crockett group. It was the Tom Robinson benefit, if anyone wants to look that up. I was 15 years old on that show, and that was my in-ring debut. Previous to that, I had worked shows at 12 and 13 or 14 for Dennis and Larry as a ring announcer and ring card girl, and different things that I did for them. But Eddie Gilbert encouraged me at 15 after that show to actually get myself out there. So after that, several months after, was a birthday party of which, it was supposed to be my 18th birthday party at the hotel we all would gather at. And the promoter, Gary Juster, had, cornered me while Arn Anderson was mauling me, and told me that he thought that I would be a perfect fit to work for Todd Gordon's ECW. At the time was Eastern Championship Wrestling, and this was in 1992. So we're talking way back, and he sent me to Todd. I went to Todd's office the next day and talked to him about what they would expect of me. And, Todd laid it out of what would be expected. And, then I was booked on the next show, which was the Super Summer Sizzler Spectacular, in which Eddie Gilbert wanted to prove a point to Dusty Rhodes. Long story. It was about women, always threatening to be naked at the end of matches, and it never actually happened in wrestling, and it never would. So in comes me 3 months after my 18th birthday, advertised as an adult film star, and got my top ripped off in front of about 300 people, some kids, most old ladies. Just the first incident of nudity in wrestling. So that was my introduction to ECW during a cat fight. It was Tigra and Lori Fallington, who was known as Peaches at the time.
Mm-hmm. That's a hell of a start.
Did you, when you were younger, did you ever lie about your age to any of these wrestlers so they all knew your age?
I never lied about it. My sister, at one point, actually tried to make herself younger and call herself my twin, which she did a lot. People called us the Amoroso twins when we were younger. So she actually tried to push her age down to get to me. I did, like, when I went in bars and whatnot, I was walking on the arms of wrestlers, number one, so no one was questioning an ID. When you had that and a room key and a set of tits, no one really questions you at the bar. Bouncers don't look past this right here.
As much as you were obviously being taken advantage of by a lot of these guys, at what point, or if, because I don't know, did you become at any point emotionally involved? Like, did you fall for some of these guys and they just hurt your feelings? I mean, at what point do you become emotionally involved with these wrestlers?
Well, yeah, because, I was very young and I did not have friends outside of wrestling.
Sure.
It was literally the only people that I was around. So when I did form bonds with a lot of people, and specifically people like Paul Heyman, who would go out of his way to communicate with me in between shows that we were always, on the road with NWA. He was working and I was a rat, but we were at a lot, we were always on, at the same place, same time sort of thing. And he was very encouraging as well. Of course, in different ways, in sexual ways, and then in personal ways, in between wrestling, he would always communicate with me and fill my head, with different ideas of things to do, and he would direct me to different companies that I might be interested in working for in New York City, of which then I did.
Your sister
Bondage
seemed...
and Domination films, by the way, was what I was directed towards.
All right. You mentioned your sister earlier. She seemed to not be so supportive as you were climbing the ladder. How did it feel with her attitude towards you as you started to do bigger and better things in the wrestling business? Did her attitude towards you get even more jealous, or?
Well, she went to the power plant, actually.
Okay.
She had a great big affair with Terry Taylor, and thought that it was going to become something. So when she found out that it really didn't develop into anything, which it was for several years, she wrestled for me when I later opened up my own promotions after ECW, and I brought her to wrestle with me for the NWA several times and a few dates, and then after that she got MS, so she just dropped off, and I was not. We were not always. We didn't see eye to eye. I would use her for the things she asked me to, and she used me for money and attention, and she never had my back. She never looked after me at all, her or my brother, because my brother was there a lot as well.
Okay.
Neither of them did anything to look after me as a sister or support me in any way. I had no guidance whatsoever.
Is there an anger on your end at your parents, at your sister, at your brother? I mean, you're a young woman that's finding her way in the world, and as a family, we're here to protect each other. Is there anger at this point in your life?
Well, the thing is, when I got to the point, and when I started to feel uncomfortable with how things were going, and I started to vocalize on it when I got home, I started getting thrown out of my house. So I was left at the times that I wasn't at wrestling events. I was left out on the street, homeless, like as a child. When I was supposed to be in school otherwise, I would go to anyone's house to sleep on anyone's couch, and if a wrestler had a bed available, I was sleeping in it. And that's pretty much how my life went from the time I opened my mouth about what my problems were. Like anytime I issued a complaint of, I got assaulted, I feel like this shouldn't have happened, or I think I got raped, and then explain the situation, I was told to shut my mouth. I was told by local police in my area, you go talk to your father with this, and shut your mouth in the meantime. I got put in mental institutions because my father turned against me later in life when I really realized that all of this was wrong. Right. And we had a bunch of properties lined up, and I happened to be the one right next to him, and he had holes in the walls and microphones all over my house, and had me followed by detectives and put away. It was quite the situation, but they put me out of the house and made me homeless from when I was a teenager because I was complaining about this kind of behavior. So for a while I withdrew, and I would not complain, and I would not talk about it. And I held a lot of it in for a long time because I figured, it could get worse than not having anywhere to stay. And then it progressively did get worse. So my family was never supportive, and I think things would have went a lot different if,
May I ask, I might have missed this, I'm sorry. How did Todd Gordon treat you, and how did Paul Heyman treat you?
Todd is wonderful. Todd's a fantastic person. Todd also knew my father for a very long time and has known me since I was a child. Todd is still to this day, as a matter of fact, a couple days ago was very forceful about how I'm coming to a convention to sit with him and the Sandman. And, I keep telling him that that's not, it's not going to happen. And it's not particularly because I had a problem with him in ECW. It was because of the other people that were there and how I find it irritating. But I love Todd. Never a problem with Todd at all.
Angel, when you started working with wrestlers in the ring, especially in ECW, did you find any of them taking advantage of you in the ring?
Oh, sure. I mean, I was just 18 years old, being picked up a move that was never done before in the ring. I was like a rag doll of experiment for getting picked up by a guy that they were billing as 7 foot tall and 300 and whatever pounds and choke slamming me to the ground and, really legitimately hurting my neck. And then anyone who had it done after that, it was like a big joke for them to wear a neck brace because I actually needed one. I actually got hurt with that, and it was like, and the thing is, even hurt, I continuously let them do it again and again and again and again because at that point that was my position. And I was at first, I started out as one thing, and I went through a phase of being a singles wrestler in red, white, and blue, and doing this thing with Sherry Martel, and then being the fucking cut-up doll, as no other woman would want to get naked or have her head mutilated in any way. But that was me at 18 years old. I was the one bleeding from my head and getting my clothes ripped off and being chokeslammed by guys of 15 times my size as a child, still 18 years old. Call it what you want, but it's still a child, especially when it's a hurt child. So progressing through ECW after I was, had my top ripped off, and then I managed Rebel for a minute, and then we had a situation with the head cheerleader. I was the first head cheerleader in the Triple Threat with Shane Douglas and Curtis Hughes.
Right.
And that was all to choke slam me in every single match that they could get in that year, and then get me to help train Francine then to take my place. So that was my head cheerleader role at that point. I was also dressing everyone in the locker room, making costumes and doing people's hair, including Public Enemy, which I don't get enough credit for. I did all their costumes. I did their hair and was in charge of doing people's makeup when they got beat up and would need bruises or extra blood or, need ashes for something set on fire. I was doing props and everything that needed to be done in the locker room on the barking of Paul Heyman. Do this and do that, and come to the studio and help me edit this and be a voice for that, and and would take my suggestion and then give me absolutely no credit for any of it.
Angel B40 out there is asking, does it make you sick seeing Mick Foley white knighting all of these young female wrestlers? It seems to be gimmickish.
Gimmick-orish.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why you're the star of the show.
Is he full of poop?
I'm glad that this question was asked, because this leads me to my later activities. It does make me sick what Mick Foley has put himself out there to try to be with this rape and incest national network. They should not even associate with themselves with someone who had sexual contact with me when I was 14 and 15 years old. Now, like I said before, I told this story on many a podcast that got taken down. When things happen and you're seeing the tail end of someone leaving a room and you have semen on you, that person did something to you. So that's why I say 14. I won't stay solid on 14, but you damn right well know, Mick Foley, what happened when I was 15 years old, okay? And it doesn't matter that I may have had sex with 2 other people that same day. Yes, I did have sex with Chris Von Erich and, Kevin Von Erich and Chris Adams. I did, because I was a very confused, drugged up teenager who by then had a unbelievably strong sexual appetite after Goldschlager and some cocaine. So you know what you did, and Kevin Von Erich knows what he did, and Chris Adams also knows what he did, all in that same day. So they look at me like I'm bad for it, but I was intoxicated, okay, by people who brought the shit to me, and then I was encouraged to do it, and not only encouraged to do certain things in a way, Mick Foley, that you knew damn right well that I did not want to do, okay? And I'm not, we throw words around here, and certain words need to be attached to other words, because when you're underage, that word means something else than what it is, but sometimes when you're talked into things, the coercion seems a little bit like that word I'm not supposed to be using right now.
Correct.
Which I'm not going to.
Thank you.
Because I do find it, I personally find it a different situation. I really do. For the people that actually did the activity, that I don't want to say the 4-letter R word that we all want to dance around here, was actually the Ultimate Warrior did that. He actually did that 4-letter R word to me, and so did Brian Pillman. Okay, so I hold nothing back when I say that those people were forceful and harmful to me in my life, and never once acknowledged or gave an apology towards it, and then want to act like they're friggin' some superstars and holier than thou, like they should be worshipped, and they're friggin' doing inappropriate things with young children, and they should all be ashamed of themselves. And I don't know. I don't want to voice my opinion on how I feel about people being deceased or not, but there's some people that karma just comes around on.
Angel, how hard is it for you considering this day and age of the internet and the sensitivity, like a hangnail can cause an internet meltdown. How hard has it been for you to deal with the backlash of what you're trying to tell?
Well, I have. I actually protested Mick Foley at a book signing in 2017 after years of being a participant in pro wrestling in many different organizations, being an MMA fighter, an actress, a model, being a promoter, and being in all different areas of professional wrestling. Then I get to the point in 2017 where I found it offensive, where I was hearing what was trying to be put out as bullshit from Mick Foley's mouth. So I went to his book signing when he was trying to put himself off as Santa Claus and let him know, and anyone else who would listen know, that man in there, I called him some choice names of what I consider him to be for having sex with a 14 and 15-year-old girl. I used those words to describe him because that is what I think of him. And if other people think otherwise, a 15-year-old probably should not be having sex with a 25-year-old. If you disagree with that, then there's something wrong with you, not me.
Is there any hero in this story? Like anybody? Like Tommy Dreamer? Did Tommy Dreamer come to your rescue?
Tommy Dreamer whacked me so hard between my legs with a cane in my private area that I told this story many a times. That cane disfigured me. I'm still disfigured. That cane clamped around the skin of my private part, let's call it, and stretched it and made it a big open wound for months at a time. And that was my exit of ECW, that I was put into a position as the Virgin Princess out of a joke to make so that I could get caned by Mick Foley in a match in ECW. And then after I got caned by Mick Foley, Tommy Dreamer picked the cane up and opened my legs after he kicked me in my face and stomped me a few times, which was unplanned and unnecessary. He hit me with it, and I got an injury to my private part. And then I was called back. I wasn't about to go back after that. Because there were some things going on behind my back in the locker room that I had understood. You know, I was running local shows and different things were going around about the things that I was saying about people. And, you know, people started not wanting me around. So I was staying home. But after a few months, I got Paul called me and he said, listen, I need you at the arena. Could you bring your wedding dress? You know, I had been injured for a while. I couldn't work out or anything. I had gained a massive amount of weight. I couldn't fit into my wedding dress. So I had to go out and get a new one. So I show up at the arena against my father's will, that then I just had started talking to him back then because he seen what they had done to me and he told me not to go back. So against his will, I actually went back and then lost a place to live after the show because my dad found out that I went back, and then got involved in an angle with the Pitbulls and Jason and Hack Myers that they now play on WWE as some kind of singles match, and I got pile driven the wrong way. You could see that I was so hurt at the time. I couldn't even lift my legs for the pile driver. From the waist down was totally damaged from what Tommy Dreamer did. So I could barely move to even get in the ring, let alone take a move. But I took the move, and then that was my last show in ECW. After doing every position that there was in that company for people and taking a lot of shit, that was how I got sent off in ECW. And now they use it in WWE as a singles match. And I don't get to see it because I don't have WWE network. But people tell me about it all the time.
It's only $9.99.
I'm not paying to see myself. I was there. Yeah. I got pictures of it. I know what happened.
All right, so Angel, I have to challenge you with this, right? You had these problems, and these are serious accusations, and certainly not to be made light of. But then I see you on Jerry Springer, and then I think to myself, well, does she just want to be on TV? I'm trying to figure that one out. Like, why do you end up going on Jerry Springer?
Okay, so to try to wrap that up as quickly as I can, when I was in apartment wrestling, when I got put into that when I was a child, my name got changed to Tara Titanium, Mistress Tara Titanium. So for a long time, people knew me as a few different people. There's many different people that I represent, and Tara Titanium was one of them. And after I worked, for in a few films, and I was in some magazines, Mem Pondo, and I started doing thumbtack death matches, which was the first of their kind at the time. In Cleveland, we started off, and then for the Insane Clown Posse and Hellfire Wrestling, we did all that stuff. Then Pondo set me up with the Jerry Springer show initially. They were interested in the story from one of the producers who I'm on Facebook with now, saw me, and she asked Pondo if he knew me, and he said, yeah, and they called me on a three-way, and we conference called, and I was out there the next week doing a show, not about wrestling, but about who Tara Titanium is, and which is a dominatrix who treats people like animals. So for attention, yes, because that area of my life actually was not only a childhood performer, but actually was an actress later on, and produced several films in different areas. I owned my own business under that name and ran a dungeon. I worked for Hellfire Club in New York City as a child as Tara Titanium. I did adult films with Blake Mitchell as Tara Titanium, all within a span. And I also was Tara Titanium in Women's Extreme Wrestling. And previous to that, I worked for the revival of Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Outrageous Wrestling. And I was just doing it as Angel. But then, some people took over, and they actually asked me to change my name and be Tara Titanium. So then it's come around about 2002, from 2000 to 2002 or so. Brought that back in adulthood in pro wrestling as Tara Titanium.
Tell me about the video Angel Pays the Bills.
Okay, that was a film that I was directed towards a gentleman named Mark Ross. He told me, I'm sorry, I hope I could say this. Your Jewish boyfriend gave me your phone number. Do you want to make some money? He was referring to Paul Heyman. Oy. So anything that he used to send me different work with people that did videos like mixed wrestling and bondage and all that stuff, because when we had sex, he used to smack me around and then insisted that I like it and convinced me that I did. And eventually it's what I ended up, doing for a living. So he sent me to Mark, and Mark and I filmed with a cast of people who then, before I turned 18, who then, after they turned off the cameras, put me on a rotating wheel like we were at a friggin' circus and were flinging cigars at me. Really weird stuff. It was really weird stuff. I was not of age at the time still, and people, who you are, Rob Feinstein, whether or not you want to admit it, but people were selling that video at ECW shows, while I was there, and then they still sell it on the internet right now.
Okay, this is going to be a strange one. The State Athletic Commission back in those days was quite valid. How did Paul Heyman, license you? How did you get through the cracks back in those days? You had to report to the State Athletic Commission back in the early 90s. I'm just curious.
Well, Frank the Tank here, Frank Talent was the State Athletic Commission pretty much.
Okay.
I don't remember dealing too much with Frank other than him joking around, and making sexual comments. I don't remember. I got licensed by Larry Hazard in the state of New Jersey, and I'm licensed in other states. But as Pennsylvania, I was actually, anytime I ran shows, I was actually an outlaw promoter. Even though I ran under the NWA license, I was still considered an outlaw promoter because I didn't give a shit about State Athletic Commission.
Got you.
All right, so you have a beautiful daughter. I think you're married. Am I correct?
Yes.
How does your family deal with what happened to their mother, and how are you able to keep this somewhat under control?
My daughter, she's a very, very strong person. She was always a straight A student, honor rolls, all the way up until she graduated Temple University for film. So she makes a go of it. And she knows the entire story. Her father, I met also around wrestling. He was actually why I stopped all the, let's call it ring rattery, if you will. We met when I was 15 after an incident with Ric Flair chasing me away, pretty much. So I met my husband when I was 15, and we got married, and I had my daughter. My husband was, I think, 23 or 24 at the time. So my daughter technically is a product of the 4-letter R word with, the other word attached to it, and she knows this. This has been acknowledged. We got married and divorced very quick. And but we always kept in contact and tried to keep on good terms until the day that he died.
Well, Angel, this interview could probably go on for 8 hours.
For sure.
Probably more. I've tried it.
I'm a little lost for words.
Angel, do you hate wrestling at this point? How can you even watch it after hearing some of the things?
I don't watch wrestling. I cannot hear Paul Heyman's voice on a television. It still makes me sick to my stomach. I watch very little TV, actually. I do more live streaming and videos and a lot of video work and modeling work and whatnot that I could get into. I don't watch a whole lot of TV at all, let alone wrestling. It's not something. I get the clips that people send to me on the internet, and whoever sends me their match to watch, I will watch and review things.
Sure.
But I'm not going to sit down every week and watch a program. I haven't been able to do that since the 90s because at Paul Heyman's suggestion, by the way, just to not have influence by other people, which I never needed anyway because I have enough to go around.
Yep, 1 in a billion.
All right, so Angel, we're going to hit you with the Pharaoh's final question. This is unscripted. It comes out of his head. I don't know what he's going to ask you. So, Pharaoh?
All righty. Angel, first of all, thank you. I'm sure it's not easy to talk about and share this with the folks at home. So thank you for that. What do you hope to accomplish by speaking out? Do you think that there'll be justice one day, or do you just feel like I have to say this? The more I say this, the more ears will possibly hear. What do you hope to accomplish by telling what you went through?
The sad thing about this is that I've been talking about it for so long on so many different platforms, and I've seen how not only has it resulted in stalking and gang stalking and cyberbullying and whatnot to the point where, people wanted me to stop talking about it, and even lawyers sent me papers to stop talking about it, and I will not stop talking about it, regardless of whether or not I think it's really going to do anything, because I really don't think that things are in order in this world to really address things like what I'm talking about. the 4-letter R word, and people in the entertainment industry who literally get away with murder when they want to, and get away with things the way they did to me. And I want to put it out there as just making people understand that these people are human beings, and very much like myself, they've made many mistakes, but it's not fair for them to try to put those mistakes on a child. It's not fair for them to represent themselves as saviors when they're very much far from that. So if people could just realize that there's evil in everyone's heart, and then sometimes people are not even doing it to be evil and they don't even know. But there's bad things out there, and bad things happen to people, and be aware, because it could happen to you.
Angel, my final question to you: is there forgiveness in your heart for what happened throughout your life?
Well, with something that I have to live with every single solitary day of my life, and the way people won't listen and they don't understand and continuously attack me for it, maybe if someone said they were sorry, one out of the rest that are alive that I can rattle off the names of right now, but I won't, because I think I've made my point. But you all know who you are, and maybe it just, I'm sorry, would suffice, even though you probably belong in jail. So should I forgive you? No. Do I forgive you? Fuck no. No. I don't forgive them. I don't forgive any of them.
Angel, where could people catch you? Where could they catch your shows? Again, thank you again for spending this Thursday night with us and our family. It's been an honor. We appreciate you being so candid. Angel, where can people see you?
I am on Instagram at Angel Amoroso for you. I am also on YouTube at Angel Amoroso versus Maremu YouTube. I'm also on something called Dirty Dead Doll Productions, if you want to catch me over there. And also on Variety Vault, and that is on YouTube and Twitch. I'm also on Facebook doing live streams constantly. I have 20 episodes of Fuck You McFoley, if you'd like to get over there and see that. Otherwise, I'm on Tumblr, Twitter, and just Google me and you can find me. Oh, also on Monte and Pharaoh.
There you go. That's what we're looking for. Cheap pub.
At 7 p.m. Join me then. Me and the Iron Man, Tommy Cairo, just bringing you through the history of professional wrestling from one episode to the last.
All right. Well, we'll see you Thursday, Angel. We'll talk soon. Thank you again.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks, Angel.
All right, Jimmy. Good guest. Interesting guest. I think this is the first time in the history of the show, that people have asked this show to go on for 4 hours, but I know Spidey doesn't want to hang in there.
Spidey's got 3 hot dates in the next.
They wanted this show to continue. There's some very interesting comments.
Oh my God!
All very positive.
Good. Good. It's about damn time. Good. That's good.
Thoughts?
I'm wrestling skull fucked. And you want thoughts. I don't know what to think about anything anymore. I wonder if I even like pro wrestling after hearing some of this. I don't know, dude. I don't know.
You know what?
It's something I have to digest, and it's a lot to digest.
You know what I can think of?
I'm kind of sickened. Go ahead. What do you got?
No, go ahead.
I'm just kind of sickened by the whole thing. It's terrible when you grow up loving something, and I'm sure she had to go through this herself. She must have loved wrestling. You grow up loving something, and when you hear things like this, it doesn't just break your heart, it screws up your head, and it makes you wonder why you like it in the first place. So honestly, that's what I'm thinking right now. What a horror show.
All I could think about is the song "We Don't Need Another Hero." And I was thinking, Pharaoh, could you send us out singing?
I can't sing "We Don't Need." Isn't that like Tina Turner or something?
Can you do it in the Pharaoh voice? Can you do it in the Pharaoh voice?
We don't need another hero.
All All right, well, send us out.
All right, we don't need another hero. And what we really don't need is to hear me sing.
We don't need another way home.
I don't know all the words.
There are no heroes.
I'm a Black Sabbath fan.
There are no heroes.
No, apparently not. Apparently not. And like I said at the beginning of the show, be careful, folks, because your heroes are human too. You've been watching Monte and the Pharaoh. Love each other. Do the right thing. Later.